It's pretty decent actually, Lifestealer here. If they wanted to and not pick up the Void, but you mentioned it. Void is just too juicy. Let's say 496 is gonna think about that a little bit more. Signal Ultra with a Viper, I'm wondering, are they looking down mid or are they looking off? It doesn't seem like a very Jamesy hero, so that might actually go off, but you can't ever tell. It's always kind of open with the Viper pickups nowadays. So we'll see what they opt for. 496. I know. There's so many options. Every time you let Magnus Oracle slide, that Void, Lifestealer, even Jug if you wanted that instead, although Jug against Spectre is kind of odd. I'd say Slark would be pretty nice here as well. We always see Slark banned against the Spectre. Could be really nice with an Oracle.
Could be. 496, they are taking a bit of time to think about it. What is there to think about though? Like, is there too many options here?
That could be a problem, yeah. Too much, you can't decide. Too much of a good thing can be a bad thing.
Yeah,
But
too many
maybe they just
options.
want it to be exciting, you know? Maybe they want a random here. You never know. Nope, they don't. Okay. Oh,
Oh, Dark Willow.
ha!
Okay.
Wow. We
It's,
we have not seen that in a while, haven't we?
no, I mean, we haven't. It is a very annoying support to play against. So when you put it in the off lane as the pos 4, it's going to be annoying for the Spectre, I'm sure. And even with the Mirana, right, you have that inbuilt root with the Brambles Maze, so you can kind of hold her down. Cursed Crown is pretty ridiculous. And if they wanted to pick up a Mars, you have the Mars Dark Willow combination, which is also pretty rough to play into, considering you do have Terrorize and Arena of Blood. Cignal Ultra, they do go for the Ogre Magi, so a nice kind of buff there with the Bloodlust. 496, I mean, do you want to just take the Mars here?
They've got room for it. You could still run Mars mid, Magnus off instead if you wanted to kind of shake it up like that. Would still work out. Pretty strong. I think I do feel like even if you don't get the Mars, it's still pretty strong. Like you mentioned the combinations the Dark Willow has. You tie it up with the Oracle root, it's already really potent. And they go Life Stealer, so they're just wanting to rip and tear through the spec, ignore all the magic damage. Now what's your Viper gonna do? Once you have levels in Rage, the Viper just doesn't do anything. The break's not gonna do much. Nothing's gonna happen once you have Rage up at a decent level here for Drew.
I agree. If it's not broken, you don't fix it. Just go back to the same thing. We'll see the Necrophos banned out by 496, surprisingly enough, so not wanting that direct kind of Spectre counter. Maybe they have something else in their minds for the Spectre, perhaps.
Mm. I think it's more defensive for them because they realize they might be looking at the Oracle, realize that you could chop them down with a Necrophos. So I think they just want to maximize Bombi's presence here. It doesn't look like there's room for an Axe, so they should be able to let that slide through. And Axe has been a pretty dead hero. But if they're really worried about being chopped through the Oracle ult, Axe would be a safe ban. Now they go Slardar, so just focusing on stuff that can play fast. I think they've got so much options here, 496. That Moors you talked about is still in the pool. Like that is just insane that it kind of stays there. But 496 can take that off or mid, Magnus swapping the roll around, and then you have a party. RP Arena, Fear on top. Nothing to be scared of here for 496 if they get that combo.
No, there isn't. Signal Ultra, final band, surely the Mars. No, it's going to be the Doom. 496. Do they want the Mars? I mean, it just seems so good with the Dark Willow. I guess you could choose something else. I mean, 496 is one of those teams where they just don't really care. No, they will take the Mars.
Yeah,
It's.
you called it way early. You called it way early. I
I
can't.
mean,
How does it slide through though?
it's such an obvious combo. I don't know how the Void made it through without getting banned. Quite frankly, like I feel like 496 may have kind of missed something there without taking the Void, but Signal Ultra, last pickup for them. What do you want?
Hmm. Well, you should know it's Amora's mid. The Viper mid doesn't mind that too much, even
Oh,
if it's a Magnus mid as well. I think they
yeah.
are looking for an offlaner here, something to give him more team fight. All you have right now is Haunt, and no follow up for that Haunt. Maybe a Centaur, but Centaur into Life Sealer is just never fun. In fact, any of those tanky offlaners don't enjoy the Life Sealer too much. So your options are kind of limited. It's a tricky one. I don't know what Cignal would want here, really, to fit in. It's just so hard to draft around a Spectre when you have a Viper. Like, there's no follow-up already from your mid when you haunt in. Now all the pressure is on your off lane to kind of set plays up and then make something happen so you can play with the haunt. But it's the choice is just mainly gone. It's like Signal's got to think hard about this one.
Oh, Omni Knight.
Hmm. It's sustain, but there is no plays here, Mike. There's no fighting here. I mean, you can sustain. Maybe you run up with What is that set in Jamesy? He looks disgusting.
It is. Let me just max out the screen so everyone can see how disgusting it is.
Ugh.
That's Viper in a in a shell though, right? Like it's a just
Ugh.
it's a disgusting hero, John. It deserves disgusting cosmetics. That is atrocious. I mean, that's as bad as it gets.
I'm so bothered that the head is just such a bad match with the body. It looks worse than my photoshops.
Hey, your
It's just
Photoshop's been looking pretty good today, I gotta say.
thank you. Yeah, I try. I try. Using my animation background to good use. I'm sure my professors are all proud
Yeah,
of all the hours we
yeah.
spent working, and this is what I do with it, Mike.
Your parents
Well,
must be,
well
John.
put.
All that money. Our son's making
Oh,
memes now. He's doing a great job. I'm so glad we paid all those thousands of
oh
dollars.
God. Oh geez. Still, man, the Signal Ultra closing out with the Omni. Now we've seen the Omni Knight a couple of times. The biggest issue here is that there is no big team fight potential, right? Like you have Guardian Angel, you have Heavenly Grace, you've got Purification to survive. What are you planning to do? Are you planning to just have James here run around with, say, the buff from your Ogre, the sustain from the Omni Knight while buying your Spectre time? There needs to be something that comes out here in the execution of Signal to make this work out. It's such a quirky draft. We've already seen issues with the Spectre picks. Now, if they can stall the game out somehow, Spectre does scale spectacularly well, but I wouldn't say this is a free game for a Spectre. You have to be constantly worried about RP. That's the beauty of the Magnus. RP is just a spell that will always go true. If you can land it, it's always game-changing. And you will have that scalability on hand for 496. And even Drew's Life Sealer. Like, Life Sealer nowadays has some major spikes at 25. Once you get that talent for Rage Duration, it's suddenly a very, very different game because you suddenly just can't hold down Drew. And you do lack control here. You do not have anything that pierces spell immunity, and you just don't have control. Like, Arrow and Fire Blast, that's your combo here.
Yep, that's literally it. Just Fire Blast Arrow. That's all you've got. I imagine there's going to be a lot of TPing going on this game from the side of 496. There's just nothing to cancel these TPs apart from those two spells. So should be a fairly fun one for 496. Who is playing mid, by the way? So Jamesy is there on the Viper, and it is going to be Hung on the Mag. Okay, fair enough. I think everything looks just fine.
Yeah, it's gonna be straightforward enough, at least in getting these lanes out. I wanted to point out, Jamesy, I don't know if this set is just the back, but he only has the back equip. That's why it's so disturbing. He only has just maximum disgust here from Jamesy. But this must be a psychological thing, you know. He's if Jamesy's having a bad time, he picks the Viper. He only has the back equip, so it's such a mismatch. It kind of looks like a DK Venom dragon form, right? It's actually kind of confusing me now.
I mean, I feel kind of bad for Jamesy. Like, he went from game 1 without his Invoker persona into game 2 with this kind of set. But on the brighter side for Jamesy, John, he has denied pretty much every creep away from Hung. He missed the full wave. Just let the creep wave go into the tier 1 tower. Hung missed every creep, and the range creep got denied by Jamesy. Probably the best start you could have asked for if you are this Viper.
And this is just going to be the story of the game. This is a lane where the Viper can actually dominate. So Jamesy should be off to a pretty good start. Hung is going to have to start looking at that jungle and kind of maybe consider stacking early, because you are going to be struggling here. Like, he's finding some now, but a wave behind is never a good thing for the mid player. So you're going to be dancing there. Still bot lane. You can see some aggression here. That BB not looking healthy.
No, he's not, but the Brambles will give him some leeway to be able to run out of there and salve up. It's going to be just fine, but it's definitely not what you want in this Mars and Dark Willow lane. You want to try and be the dominant pair up against Abat and Grims. They are going to need a few levels, though, in all fairness. But Abat, again, going to just Spectral Dagger out onto Joe Cam. Meanwhile, mid lane, apparently Jamesy does kill off Hung. It's a pretty rough start here for 496, but on the brighter side, that BB does kill off the Ogre.
You kind of expect that. The aggression here that comes back and forth can kick in. It gets worse with time as that BB, once you hit that level 3 spike we love to talk about, and the spear gets a lot more annoying, the God's Rebuke gets a lot stronger. Jokam as well will have additional damage and control. So you'll have to watch that. I think Grims is doing the right job, tossing his body forward though. A bot does get to focus more on those last hits and kind of just try to build up. So we'll see how this lane holds. You are kind of bouncing back here if you're that BB. But a bot's not feeling too pressured for his part. Still going to find that steady farm. Up top though, you're looking at Drew with Bombi once more up against Eris's Mirana and Vance Omni Knight. So there's some sustain back and forth here. They can keep Eris alive, and Bombi's well should be careful.
A nice leap into the purification there. Does get Bombi on the Oracle. It's going to be another nice start for Cignal Ultra up at this top lane. And this is basically the same thing that happened last game around, where they had this kind of amazing start with all these kills and all these lanes going their way. This game, we'll see if they can kind of keep the momentum their way throughout the whole game.
Yeah, it's the consistency that matters, right? Like, you know, you mentioned it, but we saw this a bit in game 1. They were kind of dominating those lanes. They were winning out. They just need to ensure that that stays the same. The key thing is, after they win these lanes, they need some deep wards in the jungle. They can't allow a Magnus and a Life Sealer to free farm. And it should be a little bit easier for 496 to actually split that farm. Like, you have Jokam on a less greedy 4. You know, Dark Willow is not something that rushes a blink, or as a 4, it's not quite necessary. So you've got room there for Jokam to just be a bit more selfless. And, you know, they should be able to kind of escalate a bit better for 496 if they are behind. You all are already seeing Hung in the jungle, though. And it's just that Viper lane. It's a lot better now for James. He is level up, and it's slow going for Hung.
Nice little ancient stack there from Hung with the shockwave just on the tail end before he does leave the jungle. But yeah, James is going to have a very nice time in the Viper. Just a completely free lane, and he should be able to just continue forcing in that tier 1 mid tower. Just getting it completely out. For bot lane, Grim's going to be in trouble again on the Ogre. The Shadow Realm going to be out from our Dark Willow into Grims, unless they lose vision, which they do. And they will not be able to get anything off as Grims does salve up and hides behind a tree and actually gets away. They do finally cancel off the salve, but Grims, he's going to be alright with that. He's very happy.
Yeah, just a lot of time being wasted here by 496. And that is just space for a bot. So his farm is not particularly amazing. 18 to 3. You are seeing Drew start to really drag ahead in his lane. But it's still a Spectre finding steady farm. You're still always going to be happy about that.
Rotation in, Jamesy. He's cleared out the wave in the mid lane. Comes onto Jokam and does kill him off. Very nice rotation out. Jamesy is really playing this Viper at a pretty high level here, John. Just seemingly getting everything he possibly can. Even the stats.
Yeah, it's just what you want to see. This is the kind of domination we expect the Viper to bring out. Jamesy is getting that done in this game, and just setting the pace. If you can keep dipping into those jungles, contesting these stacks, you're at a good point. I love the wards as well. This is Cignal fixing up what happened from game 1. They've got deeper wards, watching the farming patterns, and that just makes it a lot less safe for 496 to just safely stack and clear some camps.
Absolutely. See how far ahead he is in terms of net worth on that Viper. Way ahead. That tier 1 mid tower has been copying a lot of harassment, and now with that Sage creep up, it might just go down as Jokam tries to rotate, cops an arrow to the backside. Eris there with a great rotation, and Jamesy will take another kill. He'll keep the Sage creep alive as well. Well, not all the way. He's actually going to let it die eventually, unless... No. But that tier 1 tower's gone. There's just no saving it now. It's gone.
Yeah, it's when they stall out with a fortify, but it's definitely dead. Jamesy being efficient with his farm, pulls the wave into the camp, clears it out, and 496 needs to do something. They're just giving these objectives away, and well, all they can do is kind of sit back and watch. They're just not ready for it.
No, they are not. 4-1, 3k net worth lead, however, for Cignal Ultra. Just rotates bot now, James. Forces the TP away from our Mars. And he's copying a lot of damage even in the fountain, but it is going to be just enough for him to survive through it. Have to make the walk of shame back, while Abad does end up dying to Bombi. I believe Abad was very low in HP, so he just took him out with the Purifying Flames and the Fortune's End.
Yeah, you don't want to give that kind of kill away to Bombi. Yeah, you gotta respect that Oracle. You know, that was their issue in Game 1. If they don't correct that in Game 2, then you might have some issues. Still, you're looking at the 3k lead here for Cignal, so they are looking fantastic. They've basically won out all their lanes. They've got this runaway start in Jamesy. They took out the mid-tier 1 fast, and they're keeping pressure mid. They're invading the jungle, at least the triangle, making it hard to find that farm.
Hung, he just can't catch a break. He went for the power rune, but that is Jamesy's river. A bat will haunt in for a free kill. Goes straight back to farming afterwards. Nice efficiency plays here from Cignal Ultra as now they move into the mid-tier, or the mid lane. That BB, gotta be careful not to get hit by Jamesy, but he does. At least Bombi will be there to kind of take their attention away from his Mars onto him. Oh, that's a nice arrow as well. Great angle found by Eris. Avoiding that Roshan, getting another kill. And Jamesy's just on a tear. He's going to go up towards that top lane now. Drew, he does have the level 1 rage. He'll lose his courier though. And I'd say that tier 1 top tower is probably not going to last very long.
No, it's going to be pushed in. You already see Drew TPing out. So they're going to get a nice push on an additional objective. And now it's 496 that can't find these tower trades. They've also bought enough time here for Abad to get his Blade Mail. And like you always say, it's a lot easier now to clear out these camps as the Spectre. So a lot of space being bought out here for Cignal. 496 still trying to find some space on the map. And once they lose that top tier 1, their entire jungle is going to be a lot riskier to farm in. And it already is a risk, but you're just going to have easier access here for your Cignal Ultra.
T1 gone. That baby and Bombi, I mean, they're staring them down, but Jamesy, if he gets in one attack, it's probably going to mean a guaranteed death. He's going to just rotate out, get some more farm going as Bombi and that BB, they're going to start moving forward. They might pick up Grims, but Jamesy is waiting in the tree line. Does scare off the Mars, and looks like Bombi will be there to clean up the kill for himself, so they do eventually get the Ogre. Nice little pickup. Jamesy, looks like he couldn't really help out. Surprisingly enough though, John, Jamesy not opting for a Dragonlance build up on this Viper. Wanting to go for the Orchid instead.
Yeah, I think that's actually pretty darn good considering that he wants to be playing fast. We were talking about a lack of control. That's an additional silence they can play with now and should enable Jamesy to keep running around the map. I think this is the right play for him considering their lineup here.
Eris. Go into that BB. Just wants to clear out the creep wave. Drew's still working towards that bot tier 1 tower, but I mean, how much damage has it even taken? Yeah, it's over half its HP. He's got the siege creep and is trying to protect it from those creeps, but Van's being very annoying. Just getting in there for a few swings, and that siege creep is just not going to last. Which means this push is effectively over for Drew. This is a real disaster for 496.
Yeah.
They just can't get anything.
The key issue here is that they're not able to play with their team fight combo. So we talked about Arena plus the Fear from our Dark Willow being a major part of that, and they're not able to line it up. They do smoke up now. I think they find some team fights, find some kills. They can easily correct this issue, but Cignal have just been allowed to free farm for too long.
Into Jamesy. That'd be a massive pick if they could get it. These Vipers do not like to die, as they do tend to drop off quite quick, and he does get rooted up. So there's your Terrorize. It doesn't really connect, but it won't matter. They got the damage off. In with the rotations is Eris and Van, but the Dark Willow has a lot of damage with that Bedlam. Still the False Promise, actually going to save the day. He will survive a bit longer, but Eris is being healed up by the Purifying Flames of Bombi. They did not finish him off in time. So it does end up being a 1-for-1. But I'd say 496 should still be pretty happy that they got that Viper.
No, they definitely are. That's the big kill. Highest net worth in the map. They manage to take care of it. They force out the Haunt and only trade a pause. So they know Haunt's down. They know they have a bit of a window here. There's a blink up now on Hung. So they can actually start to make some plays if they wanted to. But I think they've got to wait for the next arena first, which isn't too long. Just about 40 seconds until that BB has that. And that BB is very close to a blink anyway. So you're going to have that major spike with the blink initiations. And you can see all these stacks they're giving to Drew once more. Like, Drew was behind, but we're talking about 500 behind a Spectre. Not too bad, considering that slower start. That's almost the same story as Game 1. But Cignal is still holding on, so that's the key difference. And if they keep finding these objectives, I think Cignal should be able to get a little bit more from this map.
Drew and Joe Cam going to move in. Van trying to force in that wave. Arrow not going to land from Eris, but they are still going to try and rush Bombi on the Oracle. Eris just going to follow him down, but Van in a spot of danger here with that Cursed Crown. He'll purify up. He does have the Guardian Angel if he does need to pop it. He will not. Meanwhile, Eris is still a bit out of position, but does have another leap. Should be just fine to get out of there. Brambles, they're not going to be on target. And so, 2k net worth lead remains. This is kind of a similar story to last game, though. Like, Cignal Ultra slowly losing that net worth lead they just acquired. And that BB going to move in again onto Van, but the arena going to be way off target. Did he just... Yeah, no, he just completely whiffed it.
Yeah. I think he was trying to play on the edge, but Van just walked through while it was going up, so... not quite what you'd want. Again, this is the blink on that BB. Now they've got to wait for the next arena if they want to play with the RP Arena Terrorize. But this is time that they're using farming fairly efficiently. Drew, just with the Empower, is highly efficient. You can never kind of ignore that. And we talked about it being important for Cignal to maintain awareness in that jungle. They do still have that ward up top, but there's no triangle ward. And that just allows 496 a little bit more farm to fly through. So you got to watch out for that. This farming war game, I mean, yeah, you've got a Spectre. You've got a Spectre with Blade Mail clearing out Ancients and stacks, but it still doesn't quite compare to Empower. Not quite the same compared to Lifestealer that clears camps in 3 hits.
Very slow period of the game now, just 7-4. Everyone just trying to farm up those next core items. Drew with the Deso, the BKB on the Viper. That BB did throw a spear out, but he just wanted that bounty rune. I don't really think it's worth slowing down if you Cignal Ultra. Like, you've had this Viper that's kind of been a powerhouse and still top the net worth board. It's not going to last forever though with this hero. It does drop off quite quick. They might have a lot of faith in their Spectre to carry them through the late game, but I wouldn't really rely on that too much. And speaking of that Viper, Jamesy is indeed going to die. And John, this is kind of why I went back to the fact that he probably should have gotten a Dragonlance, so he can stand back and just hit from a distance. The BKB's going to help, but... Well, actually, they found another. Man, he's going to pop the Guardian Angel. Still a lot of damage coming up. Bombi can't get another Purifying Flames off, and now the Haunt's going to come in at bat. does help kill off Jokam. They'll go on to Drew, but he'll just rage TB and will make it out in time. Meanwhile, Bombi still sticking around. He's probably just going to die. And does. The rest of the 496 will just leave. So 1 for 2 trade in the end. Not too bad overall, considering they did kill the Viper. I think neither side's really too upset about that.
Yeah, it's not a major loss for 496. That does widen the lead of Cignal Ultra back to 4K though. The biggest issue I'm having here is that Hung is not throwing out his RPs. So they're kind of forced back because of how squishy Drew is. And he's going to be that squishy until maybe a BKB or an additional stat item. The Desolator is going to be up relatively soon, just about 300, 400 gold off. And you do have a BKB done now in Jamesy, so it's going to be harder to lock in the Viper, which is going to help him stand and fight this time around. Not giving him distance, but spell immunity is going to help until the RP comes out. So Hung's got to choose his targets well, and has to be ready to just kind of commit the RP and pull back if they need to.
Oh, a arrow from Eris. Barely going to miss out onto that Dark Willow.
Radiant's bottom tower is in danger.
Oh.
Radiant's bottom tower is
Gonna be
Bombi.
Bot tier 1 going down. Bombi. Trying to get some D wards off. Doesn't get away with it. Does get punished immediately.
Yeah, it's a good punishment. Does stall out long enough though for Drew to finish that Desolator. Does get that item built up. Should be a lot more damage now on the Lifestealer. We are seeing Hung save up for his Silver Edge to handle the Spec. And maybe even to handle the Viper. That could be helpful, as they're just kind of taking it. Farming game has not really won out on either side. They might go for Eris though.
Yeah, they may. Eris trying to leap away. Has one more charge left, but that BB goes for the spear. Greatest spear in the world. Yeah, gives the sorry. Messed that up a little bit. So what's the idea here? Like, we've got a 3k net worth lead. Does the Spectre end up being the lifesteal later on, do you think?
On paper, you would say yes, but I think once you get this Silver Edge out on Hung, probably not. I think the Lifestealer doesn't care. Again, we talked about this scaling, right? You've got Open Wounds, you've got Feast. You can turn that HP that the Spectre tends to stack on against it. So you just need a break, and I think Drew is not too upset. It's really down to how well these fights break out, and it's more about the team fight that can happen. 496, they do have RP, and that is something that scales into late game extremely well. That's going to be the biggest worry Cignal Ultra will have to deal with, but for their part, they've got Guardian Angel to prevent that physical damage from being an issue. So at some point, you're going to want a Nullifier, and you can already see Drew saving up for it, just to ensure they've got a way to purge off that Guardian Angel here once it comes out.
dire are scanning for enemies. Radiant's bottom tower
Both teams just going to continue playing this farming game. Seems like both of them are just very confident in their ability to drag this out and carry later on. Drew, however, looking at a bat down at the bot lane. He does have Haunt, so he does have an escape mechanism if he is completely caught out. RP though, Hung just going to jump in with a nice RP, but the damage output is not going to be there, and he does indeed Haunt away. Haunting back in, they're going to... A bat? Pops the blade Mel, he's trying to fight, does kill off 2 of them. Alright, never mind. Drew is not going to be able to get that kill. Gives him the wrong. Drew tries to infest. He'll run away. Jokkam's there with the Terrorize to make sure the Lifestealer gets out. And a bat. Arrow is not going to connect. They are going to try and chase down this creep, and Drew will eventually pop out with the Rage TP. Yeah, it looks like they really do need that Silver Edge. It's not going to work without it.
Nope. A bit keen. You mentioned it. The Haunt was already there anyway. They needed more follow-up. They needed Jokam around so much earlier than that. And they needed that BB. Scattered fight doesn't pay off. They need 5 bodies to throw onto the Spectre. Would have been big if they found a kill. Bot's just happy. Haunt gives him a couple of kills and back to the drawing board. Net worth gap stays steady though, 4K. So even losing like that, 496 doesn't actually bleed too much more gold away. They still stay in it. They've got Arena if they want to play around with that, but with no RP, terrorized down for a little bit longer as well. Could be a hard sell and forcing a fight right now. I think just sit back, farm, and wait a bit, but they do smoke anyway.
Go for a smoke. Jamesy gets speared up to a tree. Brambles going to be out with the Cursed Crown, but Jamesy has the BKB this time, so he'll turn back around onto that Mars, onto the Oracle, and Bombi is going to go down immediately. Now, they will turn back around onto Drew. Looks like the Bedlam is going to be committed there onto Grims. That BB going to jump back in now with the Arena. Back onto the Viper. Jamesy dies. Jocam dies. Looks like Grims will also die. That's pretty much going to be it. Hung, he has RP in 3. They might not even need it as the speed does come out. Arrow does connect on Hung. Then he's going to try with the Heavenly Grace to just run away, but it will be no good. And in fact, the Mirana Error is sticking around. He has no more leaps. He tries to use. However, a bat does end up getting that BB before he does get RP'd. But can they actually kill him? No, they can't.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Spectre Gaming. Drew, however, with the Rage, does not care for the dispersion. Problem is, he can't lock him down. And now a Pat, without the Rage, knows he can go back after him. Drew will turn back with the open wounds. Bombi still trying, but a Bat is ultimately going to be alright. Yeah.
I don't know about that. They keep throwing their bodies out towards the Spectre again. You can't, not right now in Jocam.
We're going to Bombi again. A Bat going to go straight onto Jocam here. The illusions might actually just kill him, and yeah, the Fire Blast is going to be enough at the end. Bombi, meanwhile, with the Shadow Amulet, is going to be okay.
No way.
Yeah, they got the Sentry. See you later, Bombi.
Ooh, that's I'm 496. Very strange decisions. I think once you find everyone else, just ignore the Spectre. Like, you've died twice now, trying to kill off a bot. Surely you understand how Blade Mill works. And they just go back in. A bot's like, all right, we got those kills. We can go in. This is going to be a big objective. First rush of the game. 496 do not have RP. They've got Arena. Maybe that BB risks it, but it doesn't look like he will.
Mars gets arrowed up. That BB going to commit the Arena. Do we have a Terrorize to come out? Not quite. That BB is going to die. Now Hung is forced to BKB and run away with his Life Stealer. He literally just got that BKB on the Courier. Will expend the 10-second charge immediately. However, Bombi does not have a BKB. Is going to die. They are going to try and make a play onto Jamesy. He'll try and Manta off, but he's going to go down to the damage of Drew on the Life Stealer. It's 2 for 2 in the end. Not too bad for either side. It's just very messy Dota at the moment.
It really is. It's even in terms of the trade, a bit better for 496 if you're just looking at the net worth swing. So they're in a really good spot. They got 800 gold. Cignal got 500. What they need to do is, man, just wait for Hong's build-up, please. Just wait for this Silver Edge. Just stop being so impatient. It's gonna come. You're a Magnus. You can farm. You do have the Nullifier up and Drew. So they do have this way of handling the Guardian Angel. When it does come out, I think that's going to be highly beneficial. You have to kind of note, though, Van does have a Crimson Guard, so everyone is going to be that much tankier. That's going to be a major pain for 496 to try and deal with. They need a lot more farm to come out here. The biggest hurting point is that BB has really gotten himself sacrificed. His farm is just not moving up. He's barely ahead of the support Mirana and Bombi.
Yeah, he's being slowed down, but looks like he's going to be fine. That BB trying to farm. Spectral Dagger will follow him, but a Bat not going to be able to make it in time to hope for a bash. He does have the full Abyssal Blade up now, though, on the Spectre, and that is going to mean life has gotten significantly harder for 496. We do have a pause. Now, what's Dota Plus thinking? Well, it's been Cignal Ultra's way. Whoa, that was a pretty big lead at the start, John. Look at that.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of
Yep.
insane.
They went off to a running start. I think the domination that they got from James E. Mid really helped them set the pace. And 496 have been feeling pressured to be aggressive when really the answer is not. Like the answer is to pull back. They should have just waited for these BKBs first. Now that they have them, they've already popped like one charge and hung. They need a break, like a literal break item, not an actual break time like for Merienda, but they need break.
Nothing wrong with that.
They just need, yeah, nothing wrong with Merienda, but you need a break here. You need the Silver Edge. They need to run up. They've thrown their bodies 3 times into a bat like madmen, expecting each time to be different. Like, no, after the first time you should know that it's not a good idea, boys. Reconsider what the Spectre is. I think go back to the drawing board. Look at that spell. You know, hover your mouse over dispersion, and read what it is. I'm reading right now. I didn't know this, Mike. They just need to remember this plus Blade Mail is why Spectre is still picked up in Europe. And if they can get that fixed, they've still got this Oracle. Bombi's positioning has also kind of been awkward. He's been far forward. He needs to take a step back. If your other heroes want to go in and die, you just try to save them, but don't die yourself. Get the false promise off, although Grimm's.
He's gone. Gets caught out. 496 gonna pick up a kill there. A bat might just feel like he can 1v5 them, honestly, with this hero. He jumps in straight onto the Dark Willow. Here comes Drew to try and sort him out. Drew's got to be careful how much he hits a bat right now, as he almost kills off his own Dark Willow. And yeah, that might be a dead Nyx, and yeah, it is. The RP is out. It just doesn't matter. And a bat keeps telling them how wrong they were, John. Hung will BKB to walk away. Van kills off Bombi. Hung still running, but that BB, he doesn't have a BKB. He's going to suffer. And Hung, he's still running. They're on the chase. That baby will force to be piped back.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Do you hear that?
Yeah, it's her Mars humming along. Oh, Eris?
Eris gonna get caught out.
That humming. Gotta love Mars.
He bites
Gotta
back
love
and he just hums for the next 30 seconds, apparently.
You love it. Still, what I don't love is 496. They've lost a lot more. It's a 10k lead now for Cignal. They grab a good tower. They're just finding everything, and oh, well, I guess they get Brims.
What they do. However, the big bad Abat is coming in. Arrow flying out, not gonna land. However, the Abyssal Blade will be there on Bombi. Drew, I don't know about this. He's going to go in on a bat. He does have an Aegis up. A bat's already telling them this is a bad idea. Skewer back into the tier 3 tower. Joe Camp going to try and go after Eris. A bat will happily take the damage away and just kill him off. What is this hero? What is this? That BB going to get the arena off with the spear out. Drew, he's going to try and fight Jamesy. The Guardian Angel is going to be out now with the skewer back from Hung, but Hung may have just signed his own death sentence. So, he's going to try and run. He's probably not getting anywhere. He's dead.
This is so strange. I want to go back to when that fight broke out up top. What was Drew doing? He was standing there for a very long time. Did he just want to block the arrow from hitting Jokam so he could finish the TP while in Shadow Realm and sacrifice himself by not popping? I don't know. What went on there?
This game, John.
Yeah,
Weird things have happened.
It's not working out for 496. Now the Aegis does expire. I'm sure Abat literally doesn't even care. And Drew?
Now Bat, he's going to get the stun off into the Abyssal Blade, and Drew just can't get away in a Bat.
Wrong. 496. I'm not sure what to say anymore. I think I'll say it one last time. Silver Edge is an item that they need to wait for, and their high ground defense is honestly not too bad. Right? You've got RP, you've got Arena, you've got Terrorize. They can actually hold the high ground really well. They have just given a bot like 20k gold right now, so he's got 20k. Drew's 5k behind. That is significant now. That's one major item a bot's going to have over the Life Stealer, and makes it a lot harder to fight. So they've got to kind of get their positioning a lot better here. Bombi, this has not been the Oracle play we're used to seeing from him, but Cignal has been so disciplined in hunting Bombi down first. They get a tier 2, and even without Aegis, they can pressure that tier 3. 496 need to get that defense out.
It's going to be a tough one, John. They have not had much success in killing off a bat. They've killed him a total of once this game. I believe that was very early on. They will try, but no, he's going to get Abyssal plated up. And Arena is, yeah, that's going to be way off target. Way off target. And a bat, he's going to go into that melee barracks. Backdoor protection going to kick in. I have Skadi now up, John. 4.3k HP on the Spectre. It's going to be problematic, I think, for 496. And, at least Drew denies the racks. That's good. What we do go on to Bombi. There's an RP out. It just doesn't matter. A bat onto another. Wrong. Drew trying to run. I mean, he's got the infested life stealer, but he hasn't got an RP up. They've already left the base. And I don't think Cignal Ultra minds you bringing another hero along with you into a bat right now. It just means more kills for him.
Pretty much. That's just buy one, take one at that point for Cignal Ultra. They're fine with this. Like, I don't... Even the deny doesn't matter. You know what's funny about that deny, Mike? If you saw it pop out in the feed on the left side, it doesn't show deny. It shows Drew killing melee racks and getting gold.
Beta game, John.
You gotta love the beta game. You know, it's still... they've got double damage in a bot. Let's see. How long does it take?
Yeah, Drew gets caught out. A pat says thank you very much. See you later. I mean, it's just... Who else they caught out? There's that BB. I'm not sure what that arena's about, but he's going to get arrowed and netted up. Grimm's going to be there with the 5 blast out. Bombi going to try and help out. But they're just keeping that BB busy while a bat is just taking the racks and watching what's happening. I mean, someone's going to say wrong every time someone does something wrong. That BB will spear away the Ogre. Back in onto Errors. Trying to get the kill with this false promise. But it's not looking great for him. They're having a bit of fun in the jungle while their base is being taken. They don't really have much choice in the matter. I mean, he's alive. There we go. This game's over. There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bombi.
Oh man, good bounce back from Cignal. We sorted out at the Spectre, but they got it to work. James, he completely dominant down mid. Really strong performance out from this Viper. So Cignal Ultra salvaging this one, getting a draw, which means 496. I believe that means their spot is very tenuous now in that qualifier for the playoffs. They need to find a win tomorrow against Among Us, and that is one of the top teams, in fact, #1 team right now. So we'll see if they can pull that off. But for today, we do have one more matchup here for Cignal. They do have to play back-to-back, and that can be stressful, but they will have to play against Boom Esports next.
Oh, they look like they had a great old time in the in this game. Now we'll see if they can keep up the momentum in their final series up against Boom. That'll be up in about 10-15 minutes. It's MLP Dota and JohnXFire. We'll see you all again very, very soon for that final series.